Recently in Vincent's circle, it has become fashionable to be financially supported by poor women. They even compete over who can find the poorest woman, one who is more willing to take out loans to buy things for them. Therefore, he pretended to be homeless and was picked up by me to take home, eating meals scraped together from bargains. After the truth was revealed, he raised his eyebrows, waiting for me to break down. Vincent thought I would cry hysterically, collapse, and slam the door as I left. Instead, I calmly left the city. Have you gone mad with anger? He cornered me in the rental apartment. What a joke. Did he really think us poor people have no brains? A handsome guy who's free and even comes with a huge breakup fee. Who exactly is profiting here, young master? When I left for work in the morning, Vincent was still half asleep. He was wearing the matching couple's pajamas with me, 9.9 yuan for 2 pieces, pure polyester fiber. I was used to wearing them anyway, but he always complained that they made his skin itch. Seeing me getting dressed, he sat up, wrapped his arms around my waist, and clingily urged me to come back early. Now, in the adjacent presidential suite, he was holding an unlimited black card, spending extravagantly. A single fruit platter cost as much as my monthly salary. I held a tray, standing at the door, listening to their conversation. Perhaps they truly could not find any other thrills. They must have read some Mary Sue novels from somewhere. It started becoming popular to pretend to be poor and get picked up to take home. When money can no longer satisfy dopamine levels, some people turn to toying with genuine emotions. Someone said, "Hey, you really shouldn't say that," but every time I see her scrimping on food and clothes for herself, insisting on buying me a 5090 graphics card, I do feel a bit guilty inside. The others sneered. "Oh, you're still young, feeling guilty is normal. You'll get used to it after dealing with a few more. At worst, when things fall apart, just give her an extra 100,000 or so." Laughter erupted in the presidential suite, as if us poor people were naturally meant to be treated as toys. Somehow, the conversation suddenly shifted to Vincent. "Brother Vincent, you've been with that woman for half a year now, when are you going to come clean?" "Half a year is a bit too long, isn't it? We usually switch every 3 months, that's when they're most infatuated." Every time I see her teary-eyed, oh man, it feels so satisfying inside, ha ha ha. The others fell silent, crossing their legs, sipping their drinks, waiting for Vincent's response. Vincent leaned back on the sofa, not responding, appearing disinterested. Seeing this, the rest didn't press further and could only awkwardly smooth things over. "Hey, brother Vincent is lucky, he found a real beauty. I saw her from afar once, she looks so innocent. More than that, I think she's genuinely into brother Vincent. She even took out a loan to buy a phone as a birthday gift." Hearing this, Vincent finally curled his lips slightly. "Her looks? Yeah, they're decent. She's been pretty good to me too." These young masters really talk in a way that makes you want to punch them, but Vincent is genuinely handsome, broad shoulders, slim waist, long legs. I couldn't take my eyes off him when I first saw him. He was squatting alone at the shop entrance, like a lost child who couldn't find his way home. I don't know from which AI software he got his lines. He was spouting nonsense, one second claiming his parents were dead, the next saying he was kicked out by his stepmother. I secretly rolled my eyes and rejected him. Unexpectedly, this rejection only excited him more. He started blocking my path to and from work every day, looking at me pleadingly. His gaze seemed to say, "If you don't take me home, I'll die out here, and then you'll feel guilty." The last time we met, I had just finished the night shift and was surrounded by a few thugs. At first, I was quite panicked, but then I saw they were just blustering and not approaching me at all, so I understood. Sure enough, not long after, Vincent came out, shielded me behind him, and loudly scolded the thugs. The thugs put on a fake show, exchanging a few moves with him. To make it more realistic, Vincent even took a punch from one of them, blood spilling from the corner of his mouth. It's funny when you think about it, before winning a woman over, men always go to great lengths to offer their sincerity. It's not necessarily because they like her that much, perhaps it's just for the sense of accomplishment. There was no choice, he'd gone this far, so I had to take him home. The house I rented was in an urban village, though it was a full rental, the environment wasn't great. Originally, I thought I'd shelter him for a few days until he got bored and left on his own. But he seemed particularly attached to me. Every time I suggested he leave, he'd look at me with teary eyes. Honestly, with such a handsome guy lying in front of me, an ordinary person simply couldn't resist, okay? At the time, although I didn't know what he was really up to, a free and high-quality man who could suit the emptiness in my life, thinking about it, it was still a sure win. From that day on, I would go to the vegetable market every day to pick up discarded leaves, steam some rice at home, and call it a meal. Actually, I wasn't that poor. At the company, I would still secretly order takeout for myself. It's a bit embarrassing to say, but we were really compatible in bed. Maybe it was his experience, or perhaps his natural talent. In any case, he served me very comfortably. Whatever, just think of it as hiring a male model. The key point is that a few years ago, when my mom was ill, I incurred a lot of debt and didn't want to seriously date anyone, not wanting to hold others back. Now, look at this, Vincent delivered himself right to my door. But he was too patient. It's been almost half a year, and he still hasn't come clean with me. I don't know when I'll get my breakup fee. However, the external debts I owed were gradually paid off by him. According to my plan, I intended to go to Heqing in the north, buy a small house for 50 or 60,000 yuan, and make money while doing self-media on the side. When Vincent came home, he was the same as always, boneless, like either asking me to dry his hair or leaning on me while scrolling on his phone. Somewhat impatiently, I picked up the hairdryer and roughly tousled his short hair. He probably noticed my distraction, knelt in front of me, and slowly pushed me down. "Which wild man are you thinking about, Shinzoi?" He rubbed his half-dry hair against my neck, his golden hair bobbing like a big golden retriever. Just as I was about to open my mouth to explain, he kissed me. It was a long while before he let go, the trailing silver threads making it even more ambiguous. Vincent's voice became low. "I'm going to punish you severely, Zoe. This time, even if you say your waist hurts, I won't go easy." This time, Vincent was gentler and more teasing than ever, perhaps having figured out how to say goodbye to me. Every time passion stirred, he would whisper in my ear, "Don't forget me, Zoe, I won't allow it." I turned my head away, pretending not to hear, reached out to hook his neck, and kissed him. But in my heart, I was thinking that I might not be able to afford such a high-quality male model in the future, so I should enjoy it fully. In recent days, Vincent always returned late, often in the middle of the night, even half asleep. I could feel his kisses, filled with lingering affection and dependence. If I didn't know the truth, I really would have been fooled. Combining all these abnormalities, I started preparing an escape route for myself and, while he was sound asleep, unlocked his phone password. It turned out to be my birthday. I smiled, thinking that a playboy pretending to be deeply affectionate is 3 parts genuine and 7 parts fake. There were no family members inside, mostly his friends. He said little, and the only important clue was that his fiancée was returning to the country. How disgusting, I'd been forced into being the other woman. But this might be good too. When he proposes breaking up, he should feel more guilt and might even give me extra money. Wow, thinking about it gets me excited. That night, after I showered and lay in bed, Vincent clingily kissed my cheek and tried to go further, but I refused. He looked incredulous. After all, since we got together, we were very in sync in this matter, and I had basically never refused him. Vincent didn't believe it and directly slipped his hand under my clothes. I rolled my eyes and said my period had come. He looked hurt. "Your period is on the 20th, it's only the 8th, Zoe. Don't be unreasonable, okay? I'm tired from work." I couldn't be bothered to argue with him and turned away directly. He forcefully turned me back. "Is it because I've been coming back too late these past 2 days? Are you angry?" Annoyed by his persistence, I came clean. "There's a lipstick mark on your clothes, care to explain?" His brows relaxed instantly, and he clingily hugged me. "So my dear wife is jealous." This was from an interview today. A woman accidentally rubbed it on me, and I didn't even notice. What a lame excuse, interview. Why not say he was applying to be a male model? I was too lazy to push him away, so while held in his arms, I started acting. My tone agreed. I know, with your looks, you could find a better woman than me. But I hope you can tell me in advance, I won't cling to you. This attitude truly pleased him. What could give a man more sense of accomplishment than a girl's jealousy? He gently stroked my back, his tone affectionate. How could that be, baby? I only like you. I pursed my lips, still refusing to let him touch me, and even chased him to the sofa. Joking aside, the rent for this house is paid by me. Even if I'm disgusted with him, he sleeps on the sofa. I'm the one who has to work and needs a good rest. As for this matter, it could be considered settled for now. He would definitely brag in front of his friends about how much I love him and how I can't let him go. Whatever, anyway, I won't come into contact with his circle, and their opinions of me have nothing to do with me. I'm like the female lead in a short drama, following the script. After wrapping up, I can get a substantial paycheck, why not? Just as dawn was breaking, Vincent gently returned to bed, kissing my earlobe. Baby, we won't separate. Half asleep, I was startled, realizing it was my turn to act again. Blinking my eyes, suppressing the urge to yawn, I squeezed out 2 tears. Vincent, do you really love me? Of course. He pulled me into his arms, not letting me look into his eyes. Heh, stinky man. A few days ago, I told him the company was sending me on a business trip to Jeanport. Actually, I went alone to Huching. It's been popular these years, with cheap housing prices. I picked a fully paid 80,000 yuan house, fully renovated, thinking that after breaking up with Vincent, I'd come live here by myself, doing self-media on the side while living. I'm a very lonely person. Since my mom passed away, I've been living in a daze until I met Vincent. At first, I just thought this person was strange. Later, discovering he was pretending to be poor, I found it novel. Then, searching online, I found similar novels about rich second generations pretending to be poor to trick people into relationships. In my heart, besides finding it amusing, there was more of an empty feeling. During these days in Huching, my heart was very peaceful. When I paid in full for this house, it felt like my rootless, drifting life finally had roots. The agent was very competent, recommending several cost-effective renovation companies. After telling them my modification requirements, I left. I looked at the 6-figure balance on my bank card and felt that the future was still very promising. Actually, I'm not poor. Previously, to repay debts, I thought that saving more would allow me to pay off faster, so I didn't care much about food, clothing, housing, or transportation, which made me Vincent's target. At first, I thought of using an impoverished lifestyle to force him away. Whether it was the 9.9 yuan pajamas or the rotten leaves from the vegetable market, they were just means to force him to leave. But he was unexpectedly persistent. Even if his skin turned red and the food was hard to swallow, he stubbornly stayed by my side. Later, I discovered that he would intentionally or unintentionally hint for me to buy him things, starting with small gifts of a few hundred yuan, then watches of 1,000 or 2,000, and later phones over 10,000 yuan. Every time he received these gifts, he would look at me with teary eyes and say no one had ever been so good to him. Then, he would turn around and brag in his group chat, saying I was stupid for supporting him with a salary of a few thousand yuan. Honestly, setting aside these behaviors, Vincent was just a spoiled little boy from home. But what he didn't know was that us poor people have our own survival rules. Of course, the gifts and phones weren't genuine. I'd just add a dropshipper on Facebook, and similar items could be bought for tens or hundreds of yuan, even cheaper in bulk. That phone that made him smile with delight was one I bought in Huiqiangbai for just 300 yuan, the packaging and appearance were identical. As a rich young master, he definitely knew these things were fake. But I'm poor, it's normal for poor people to be deceived, right? If I buy it at the genuine price, then it's genuine to me. However, these fakes still made him feel embarrassed, unable to brag in front of friends, so for a while, he gave me attitude. But I knew how to appease him. I just needed to casually show him the loan records on my phone. He would quietly settle that debt for me, without even noticing the dates. Compared to a woman who has money to buy him luxuries, a woman who has no money but borrows to buy him luxuries always excites a man more. Because he doesn't lack these things, he just wants to pursue this thrill. Later, as I bought more and more things, the money he repaid for me increased, and in just half a year, the debts from my mother's treatment were mostly cleared by him. One word, satisfying. To thank him, during that time, I didn't pick up rotten leaves from the market but bought discounted vegetables from the supermarket. He ate happily. This time, using a business trip as an excuse, I went to Hutching again, supervised the renovation progress for a few days, really didn't want to go back, but Vincent urged too much, almost one call each morning, noon, and evening. To avoid arousing his suspicion, I dawdled back to S-City. As soon as I got home, he was sitting on the sofa with a sour face, looking very unhappy. Now that I had life goals, I was increasingly impatient with him. No choice, money is hard to earn, and shit is hard to eat. I forced a smile and sat in front of him. Don't be unhappy, this time I took the opportunity to go back to my hometown and brought back my mother's relic. I extended my finger with the tail ring. His expression improved slightly. After being together so long, Vincent knew about my bond with my mother. The dead are to be respected, so he couldn't say much. You didn't miss me at all. If I don't call you, you won't call me? He pouted angrily, pouncing over and biting my lips. Things had reached this point. Even if I didn't want to be intimate with him anymore, I couldn't push him away now, or it would be too strange. I reached out and hugged his waist. Sorry, it's my fault. Perhaps because he hadn't felt my embrace in a long time, Vincent seemed a bit dazed and held my shoulders. This is the only memento my mom left me, wearing it feels like she's still with me. My voice was muffled, sounding as if suppressing sobs. Actually, it was all made up. This ring was something I got online for practically nothing. Last week, Vincent kept telling me he wanted to start a business and needed 200,000 yuan in startup funds. My debts had just been paid off, there was no way I'd borrow again for him. I understood that as long as I made clear the meaning of this ring to me, he would find a way to help me cash it in. He just wanted to know who was more important in my heart, Vincent or my mom. Not 2 days later, on my way home, I was stopped again. Seeing the person's neat appearance, I knew the show was starting. Miss, I'm in the antiques business, may I take a look at your ring? He stood in front of me, appearing very polite. Sorry, this is my mother's relic, I have no intention of selling it. I remained composed, seemingly unwilling to bend for money. That's natural, I just rarely see jade of such fine quality and wanted to admire it. He stepped closer. Oh, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Simon, here's my business card. If you have any intention to sell later, feel free to contact me. After saying that, Simon left. I turned and walked home. After just a few steps, I burst into uncontrollable laughter. I couldn't stand it. Vincent's friends are all like NPCs, a ring bought for practically nothing, and he says it's of good quality. Probably because he knew this time the item exceeded my expectations. When I got home, Vincent had already prepared the meal. Yes, in this half year, under my PUA, Vincent had learned to cook. What else could he do? My cooking was either bland or too salty. He couldn't order takeout home either. If I found out, it would blow up. No choice but to learn to cook himself. Today's meal was quite abundant, with my favorite stir-fried meat and sweet and sour pork ribs. He sat timidly at the table, like a aggrieved little wife. Zoe, try the sweet and sour pork ribs I just learned, are they good? Wow, how did you know I wanted this? I pretended not to see his hesitation. Whatever, eat first, talk later. After eating my fill, I used the excuse of overtime to organize materials, pushed the bowls aside, and went to the bedroom. Yes, I didn't want to wash the dishes either. If you're asking for help, have the attitude of asking. Zoe, do you remember what I told you last time? Not long after, Vincent entered the room and sat beside me. What thing? I pretended not to know, my eyes still fixed on the screen. Previously, my friend said he wanted to partner with me in business, needing me to invest 200,000. I haven't found a job yet, do you have any spare money? Vincent hung his head low, his tone listless, seeming very down. I stopped typing, turned to face him. Vincent, my monthly salary is only 4,000. After our living expenses and rent, I only have 1,000 left each month, saved up to now, it's less than 20,000. I sighed, appearing very troubled. Of course, Vincent knew these things. Not long after we started dating, I showed him my salary card, 4,000 yuan a month. He was so satisfied, having never met such a poor woman. If he could make her devote herself wholeheartedly to him, that would be too thrilling. Of course, 4,000 salary was impossible, that was just for my writing side job. My main job is new media operations, taking home about 30,000 a month. When I first met Vincent, I was looking at houses, my salary was stable then, and I wanted a better place, but who knew he'd latch on? He and I aren't real lovers, I wouldn't spend extra money on him. Anyway, I'm used to this house, just think of it as taking on another extra acting gig. The key is, Vincent didn't bother to investigate me at all. In his view, if I really had money, why live in an urban village for so long? Plus, I showed him the 4,000 salary slip, so he believed it completely. Who would have thought he'd been played for a fool by me for half a year? I know, Zoe. Vincent's voice was low. I'm the one making it hard for you. It's okay, you don't need to blame yourself. I was stunned. Blame myself? Who? Me? But I was still very professional. Vincent, I'm sorry. Sigh, aren't these rich second-generation's thoughts too easy to guess? Someone just said they wanted to buy my ring in the afternoon, and Vincent asks in the evening, couldn't he space it out? It's too fake. If not for my cooperation, their cover would have been blown. In short, I've spoiled them too much. From that day, Vincent was very down overall, barely eating, and our intimacy decreased. I knew the timing was about right, it was time to follow the plot. That night, I deliberately hid in the kitchen and called Simon. Hello, Mr. Simon, I'm the owner of the ring from last time. My voice was neither loud nor soft, just enough for Vincent sitting in the living room to hear. Hearing the approaching footsteps, I continued, last time you said if I want to sell the ring, I can call you, when would be convenient to meet? How should I address you? Simon's voice was gentle, if someone didn't know, they'd probably be fooled. My name is Zoe, you can call me Zoe. I paused, this call is mainly to ask how much this ring can sell for, I have an urgent need. Simon chuckled lightly, about 180,000, although the quality is good, it's still too small, so that's the price I can offer. I smiled, these people are really too naive. 180,000 plus my 20,000 savings was meant to make me go broke supporting Vincent. This was probably the last time. After this, Vincent should come clean with me and then completely leave my life. I pursed my lips, seeming reluctant, I understand, let me think for a few days, okay? After hanging up, I saw the eavesdropping figure outside the door, curled my lips slightly, and started my solo act. Mom, if you were still here, you'd support me, right? Vincent's figure paused, then slowly left the kitchen. I silently said, you'd also support me in playing the long game to catch a big fish, right? Yes, I'm willing to invest 20,000 to make Vincent thoroughly guilty, in exchange for more breakup money. The next day, I got up early to wash up, looking at Vincent still pretending to sleep. I even leaned down and kissed him. Vincent, I'll do my best to give you what you want. I almost applauded myself, so professional, who wouldn't be convinced by such small designs and lines? Or maybe, after separating from him, I could go run extras in short drama crews? With expectations for future life, I arrived at Simon's antique shop. The decoration here was very luxurious, probably this Simon really is in this line of work. I sat restrained on the sofa, holding hot tea. Mr. Simon, I want to know, if I want to redeem it later, is it still 180,000? Simon sat opposite, raised an eyebrow. Of course not, Miss Zoe, I'm a businessman, can't not make money. If you have the chance to redeem, it'd be at least plus 50,000. Hearing this, my face paled, as if unexpected. I suddenly looked up, eyes filled with tears. Is that so? Because this is my mother's relic, I thought of redeeming it later. How long can you hold it for me at most? My tone carried a choke, seeming very sad. That's hard to say, jewelry depends on fate. Maybe right after you sell it to me, someone else buys it the next second. I don't want to deceive you, Miss Zoe. Simon handed me a tissue. Since it's your mother's relic, you should think carefully. I took the tissue, my eyes full of struggle and hesitation. After a long while, I took the contract. I've decided, Mr. Simon. This money can make my boyfriend happy. I don't want him disappointed. If Mom were still here, she'd support my decision. Just like that, I signed the contract and got the cold 180,000. The only pity is that it had to go to Vincent, the stinky man, before it even warmed up. After returning home, I forced a happy expression, pushed open the door, walked straight to the man cooking in the kitchen, and gently hugged him from behind. Vincent, the company gave a bonus, plus my 20,000 savings, it's exactly 200,000. I reached out and stuffed the bank card into his pants pocket. His stir-frying stopped, he turned and hugged me, his tone joyful. Really, Zoe? I love you so much. I weakly let him hold me, my tone carrying a barely noticeable choke. Vincent, this time, I really only have you, you'll stay with me forever, right? This time, he didn't reply but tightened his hold on me. I understood that this play was nearing its wrap-up time. Because Vincent's fiancée was also returning to the country, once she came back, it was time for me to exit the stage. This month, Vincent was often not home. Even when he returned, he reeked of alcohol. I counted the days, each time thinking he should come clean with me, but he just looked at me without speaking. Until this day, I finally found a loophole. Previously, Vincent would always change into the cheap clothes I bought him when returning. This time he forgot, wearing a hoodie I'd never seen. I searched it. 8,000, oh my God. I leaned at the bedroom door, staring as he changed shoes at the entrance. Perhaps noticing my gaze, he looked up at me. In the moment of eye contact, my eyes shifted down to his clothes, pants, shoes. He realized something, tugged at his clothes, panicked for a moment, and dryly explained, my clothes got dirty, a client lent me a set. You're lying. My voice was soft, but enough to stun him. Are you angry? Lately, I've been socializing with friends, so I come back late. He walked over, trying to hug me. I stepped back. I saw you at the Hanhai Club. This was a lie to him, since seeing him at the Hanhai Club last time, I quit that part-time job, first because work was busy, second to avoid bumping into him and causing the plan to fail early. What were you doing there? The minimum spend is 10,000, where did you get the money? What else are you hiding from me, Vincent? My questions came one after another. You followed me? His imagination really impressed me. My lines were in the abusive romance style, but he suddenly turned it into a spy thriller. Don't change the subject, Vincent. I looked up, staring into his eyes. Tell me, did you lose all the money and go there to work as a male model? Huh? Vincent was stunned, never expecting me to say that. If you found the next one, I've said I won't cling, but you can't deceive me. I hate most being treated as a fool. I guided Vincent step by step to say the breakup words. Vincent panicked, he wanted to explain, but he really couldn't, why he appeared at Hanhai now. After a long silence, he could only throw out, if that's what you think, I can't help it. He turned and left the rental. My tense body suddenly relaxed, I yawned, hugged the blanket, and fell into deep sleep. Tonight, he probably wouldn't return. This matter was his fault anyway. As an ordinary girl, I should boldly question, being cautious would be too subservient. Sisters earn money, but must keep their backs straight. A few days later, Vincent returned in a proper suit, grinning as he gave me a card. Zoe, this is the money I earned this time, there's 2 million in the card. Didn't you always want to open a flower shop? I blinked, what is this, wanting to continue keeping me? Shouldn't he come clean with everything, watch me cry bitterly, then throw the card at me and say, we can't be together, this is breakup money, don't cling anymore. How did the plot change so suddenly? Ah? Is money so easy to earn now? I was completely confused, my brain offline temporarily. Vincent looked at my dazed appearance, smiled, and pulled me into his arms. Don't you like S-City? Otherwise, quit your job and go to S-City to open a flower shop, I'll buy you a house too. During the day at the flower shop, evenings strolling by the river, okay? Hearing this, I finally snapped back. He didn't want to fall out with me, even wanted to keep stringing me along, after marriage occasionally going to S-City to rekindle with me. Scum. Pure scum. But I couldn't flip out, I can't afford to provoke the Chin family's power. If we part amicably, there'd be no more intersection between us, but if I expose everything, there'd be lots of trouble later. I don't want to entangle with Vincent anymore. 2 million, tenfold return, he really is rich and truly treats me as a fool. Keep me in S-City while he marries and has kids in S-City. How long was he planning to hide it? I broke free from his embrace, eyes staring at him. He looked at me gently, seeming to really love me and reluctant to let go. But I know, a story starting with lies is destined to end. Actually, this 2 million is enough for me to spend the rest of my life in hitching. As long as I continue dating Vincent, he'll keep dropping gold coins. But I'm unwilling, after learning he has a fiancé, even his touch disgusts me, let alone future life. I really want to lay it all out, but I can't gamble. If he gets angry from shame and uses some means, as an ordinary person, I'd have endless suffering. After thinking all night, I decided to leave without saying goodbye. The next day, I went to the company to submit my resignation, 1 more month to officially leave. While packing, Vincent called, "Zoe, have you thought it through? Where do you plan to open the flower shop?" My heart sank, he'd already extended his reach to my company, knowing right after I resigned. If I leave S-City, will he find me? While my heart was in chaos, a strange number sent me a MMS with Vincent holding a beautiful girl's hand. Very timely, I almost wanted to send a thank you. I printed this photo. That night, I sat on the sofa waiting for Vincent to return. Lately, he came back very late, basically after 3 a.m. Seeing I hadn't slept, he walked toward me while undressing. "Zoe, why haven't you slept? Waiting for me to come back, do you miss me?" His tone was happy, seeming unexpected that I'd wait so late. I placed the photo on the table. His eyes glanced, body instantly stiffening. How did you get this?" His tone had surprise, doubt, even offended anger. "I didn't follow you, nor secretly photograph, this was sent by a strange number." I shoved the phone in his face. "What are you going to say?" His expression suddenly changed, as if too lazy to pretend anymore. He sat directly beside me, lit a cigarette. He leaned to pick up the photo on the table, tone teasing, "Don't know who took it, but they made me look pretty handsome." Then, Vincent turned to me, "No wonder I've felt you've been strange lately, did you discover it long ago?" I didn't respond, just stared at him steadily. "Why do you have to make it clear? What job can earn as much as being my girlfriend?" He took a puff. "I've already scouted shops for you, as long as you agree, I'll give the money right away." "Young Master Chin, have you played enough?" My tone carried a sob, seeming like the helplessness of being abandoned. He pulled my hand and rubbed it. "No, Zoe, I'll never get enough." I forcefully yanked my hand back, saying word by word, "Don't touch me, it's disgusting." He looked at my wrist, red all over, subconsciously wanting to rub it for me. But he found I rejected his approach. He rubbed his hair, seeming very irritable. "Wouldn't it be fine to listen to my arrangements? I tell you to go to S-City, just obediently go. Why make a fuss like this, Zoe?" "Because I'm a person, not your toy, Vincent." I stood up and left the sofa he was on. "What are you doing now? You haven't really fallen for me and can't let go, have you?" He scoffed, seeming to mock my words. You're just like Blackie now, can't drive away, really annoying." I said word by word, angering him speechless for a while. "Blackie is the stray dog downstairs, Vincent and I often fed it. Do you really think I can't bear to touch you?" Vincent looked up at me. "I won't be your mistress, Vincent." I just wanted to express wanting a clean break, but he suddenly stood up and approached me. Zoe, in our circle, we're also involuntary, I have to marry her. Vincent's tone was gentle, actually explaining to me. Is there something wrong with your brain? I want to break up with you, don't you understand? Who cares who you marry? Silence, we both were silent. After a long while, he squeezed out, don't regret it. After Vincent left, I started packing luggage overnight, bought an early morning flight ticket, flew to Ha City, then took the train to Heching. Now, I couldn't go through procedures, just sent the leader a message about family emergency, foregoing this month's salary. On the way, I changed to a new SIM card, registered a new social account, and cleared all old accounts. Though I don't know if this series of actions is useful, it's all I can do. After a day and 2 nights journey, I finally arrived at this little home of mine. A week passed, Vincent didn't contact me, and I still didn't dare use the card he left. Half a month passed, I started trying to operate my new media account, mainly filming me cooking. Actually, I really like this kind of life, peaceful and serene, feeling like time has slowed down. If Vincent hadn't appeared. A month later, I saw him downstairs. He'd lost a lot of weight, wrapped in Heching's wind and snow, slowly walking toward me. Do you hate me that much? Not even a goodbye? No anger, only grievance. His eyes were a bit moist, just staring at me like that. We have no possibility, Vincent. I sighed, our encounter was a lie, such feelings won't have a result. He sniffled, voice muffled, you really knew long ago, am I like a fool in your eyes? Go back, get married properly and live your life, don't come find me again. I bypassed him and walked forward. Then wasn't I beaten for nothing? Vincent said aggrievedly, to agree to let me find you, my dad almost broke my legs. He caught up, chattering beside me, let me tell you, I've already told my parents I don't want to marry. Sylvia, the girl in the photo, has a boyfriend too, this return is to call off the engagement. She hadn't come clean yet, but I said it first, my dad slapped me, I was stunned. Vincent brought his face close, letting me see. You're sick, it's been a month, what can you see? I rolled my eyes, not knowing what he wanted. These beatings were all for you, how can you be so heartless? Now I'm penniless, this time you have to really support me. Seeing I didn't reject his approach, he started pushing further. I ignored him, bought vegetables, and went home, shutting him outside. After dinner, I lay on the sofa watching TV, eyes glancing at the door, worried this young master would freeze. I peeked through the peephole, saw no one, and sighed in relief. The next day, as I opened the door, I saw him standing at my door. Vincent grinned at me, Zoe, we're neighbors now. I took a deep breath, finding it really annoying. What exactly do you want? We've already broken up. I stared at him. I said, family doesn't want me, this time I'm really broke. Can you pick me up home again? His tone was sincere. I believe him my ass, dead liar. I started ignoring him, but he was really too chatty, every time I opened the door, he'd pop out and follow me. That night, the doorbell rang suddenly, opening the door, Vincent stood clutching his stomach, Zoe, I think I'm sick. His face was flushed, seeming in great pain. I quickly called an ambulance and sent him to the hospital. The doctor thought I was family and had me follow. I opened my mouth but went to pay the fee. Of course, using his card. The next day, Vincent woke, saw I wasn't there, angrily prepared to pull the needle and leave the hospital. Are you seeking death? I held white porridge, staring at him from the door. No, I just wanted to change position, a bit uncomfortable. Seeing me come, he obediently lay down without fuss. Zoe, how did you know I wanted white porridge? You know me too well, we're truly a match made in heaven. I rolled my eyes again, really can't stand this dead liar. Recover well, I'll make good food when back. I sat on the side chair, meat dishes 50, veggie 20, rice 5 yuan per serving, eat or not. Fair price, Chef Zoe, I'll cover the food. Vincent's face was pale, but still bantering. Whatever, just think of raising a blackie, can't drive away, no choice.